Do you want me to do it on OBS?
Sure.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to give me like 5 minutes to start an OBS rec. If you guys want, you can just use
Okay,
the
gotcha.
POW
We'll
on
just wait
here.
5 minutes. That's fine.
I think Zoff is. Oh, Zoff got it. Zoff got OBS.
Was off is already recording. Gotcha, lovely.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna kick things off by just investigating into like the issues you have with the argument. But I guess you have like an outdated version of the argument for theism, or my argument to be very
Sure.
specific. So I'm gonna post a new argument, new version of the argument, and see what contentions you have with it. Right. So this is just like the argument. Right. Of course, the argument is logically valid. Like literally, for all the syllogisms that are baked into the argument, there's a separate inference rule. So that's not going to be something which is going to be the contention. The contention is mainly going to be like the premises about meta-ontology. So let's see what your perspective is on the premises and which one you are skeptical towards.
Yeah, sure. Let me go through these.
Alrighty.
So, by being, do you mean existence in the first premise?
Yep.
And what view of existence do you take?
What do you mean by view in this given context?
Yeah, so for instance, you can think that existence is like a predicate of objects. You can think it's a predicate of concepts. Like, what do you think it's like about?
How
Do
are
you
you
think it's a
defining
predicate?
predicate in this given context?
Just like sort of a feature that's true of something. For instance, like a
Okay,
ball is red.
surely it's going to be the case that given that definition of a predicate, it would be the case that something like existence would be a predicate. Although that's not agreed upon given how first order logic works, but given that definition of predicate in specific, it would be the case that this would be the
I'm
type of
asking you what it's
the
a
predicate.
predicate of. Like, so for instance, like Quinians, they think that existence is a predicate of concepts, and like Meinongians, for instance, think it's a predicate of objects.
I think concepts is going to be the subset of objects, so I don't really think that's a relevant distinction.
By objects and concepts, they think it's something like um,
A concept is just a mental
existence.
object.
Like, oh wait, hold on. So like the Quinian
Hmm.
view is something like existence is quantification. So for instance, it's like saying that there is one of the
Not
concepts
just
unicorn.
quantification. No, not just quantification. You're forgetting it has to be over a particular relevant domain, right? It's not just quantification because Quine is not a metaphysical holist. He doesn't believe that
Well,
all things exist.
that was sort of implicit. But
Well,
Quinians
no,
sort of
it
think
wasn't
that.
implicit. He
Wait,
just said it is
can you stop cutting me off?
quantification.
Wait, can you stop cutting me
No, you're
off?
saying it's just quantification. Just stop blundering, please.
Ooh,
Right?
that wasn't a blunder.
That was
You're
a
just like
very
really
obvious blunder.
nitpicky right
You
now.
said
Wait,
quantification. You said
do
Quine's
you want to
view
get
on
moderation?
existence. You want to stop being retarded?
Do you want to
So
get
you said
moderation?
Quine's view.
Yeah,
What are you
we can
doing?
get moderation.
Calm down. So you said Quine's view on
We can get
existence.
who do you want
Calm down.
Sakazuki to moderate?
Calm down. Relax. You said Quine's view on existence is just going to be the type of view on existence is going to be identical to quantification. That's not true. Do you acknowledge this?
That's not what I said.
That was what you said verbatim. We have the
I did
recording
not say it
anyway,
was
so you
identical.
you lying about what you're saying is not going to give you good looks on the
I
optics.
wasn't
Right.
even giving like
So what's the new
clear
claim you want to
cut,
make about Quine's view?
sufficient, and necessary conditions for the view. I was saying it's sort of like
I
this,
never made the
sort of
claim you
like that.
specifically said it's a sufficient condition. I'm saying what you said was
I'm just
Quine's
waiting.
view
I'm just waiting
on
until we get moderation
existence.
right
I'm
now.
just waiting for the stop rambling. You said Quine's
Oh
view
wait,
I'm
on
just
look,
ontology.
you're literally the
we
one
can't
rambling right
moderate
I don't
now.
know
yet.
why he's
Look,
so
I've
scared.
been asking for
He's asking
moderation
for
this entire
moderation
time.
while
It's a
he's
very simple
continuously interrupts my
statement.
point. This guy's like genuinely autistic, by the way.
You literally started this point by interrupting my point.
Just shut up. Just stop talking.
okay.
Calm down.
Can we get
You're
moderation,
panicking.
please?
Okay. Wait. Pause. Okay. For now, I'm gonna have Moose. Like, you just want a talking stick?
That's fine.
All right. Moose, can you do it for a second until I can get downstairs, and then I'll take over. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks.
sure. So I mean, Muse, you can
I was
just mute
talking
Paulo
actually,
real
so you're
quick,
gonna have to like pipe down for a
so I can
second
like
because you're
continue the
gonna
point.
the same.
So I can continue the point that I was making. That was cut off. Thank you. Yeah, so to rehash, basically, there are numerous different views on what existence could be a predicate of. The Quinian view is sort of like, or the Quinian view is sort of like, existence is a predicate of concepts. So, for example, to illustrate this, we have the concept unicorn, right? And what Quine wants to say is that when we say a unicorn exists, we're just saying that there is one of the concept unicorn, or there is one unicorn. Or when we say that unicorns don't exist, we say that there are zero unicorns, or zero things that fulfill the concept unicorn. Um, and alternatively, what my non-gains wants to say is that existence is a predicate of objects. So they think that there are such things as non-existent objects and existent objects, and so that would be like the delineation between the two. Quinians don't think that there are non-existent objects. They think that all objects are existent.
Well, just to be clear, before I respond to whatever you just said, did you say the person who is a Quinian, for example, believes that they are going to be non-existent objects?
No, that's not what I said. That was a horrible tracking error.
I'm asking you a clarifying question because like rambled your way through, and
Well,
so
I
no one
said
has actually
no. I
understood
said
what
I
you're
said
saying.
no. If, in case you
Yeah,
didn't hear
so
it
you're
the
saying it's a
first time.
tracking error, but the person is actually asking if you said something. It doesn't
Yeah, I
matter if
said
they
no,
heard what he
retard.
said,
Do I
and
need to
that's their
say it a fourth
interpretation.
time?
So what you're doing now, you're being retarded, and you're trying to rhetorical stuff, whereas it's not going to work because you have a bad
Well, I
articulation.
mean,
So
you
just calm
haven't
down.
clarified your view yet.
Stop panicking.
So I mean, I
Relax.
think
Relax. Calm down. Okay, so the answer is no, you did not say this. And so just to be clear on this, dumb fuck, what's going to be the relevant distinction between the Quinian and the Meinongian or the non-Meinongian under your position?
I already gave an example.
That example is not something which rules out a particular thing. If I say I give an example for something, that's not me explicating on the concept. You understand this, right?
The example is supposed to clarify distinction. Like, I
Okay,
mean,
so
what do you not
maybe
understand? Like,
maybe we have to just
what
go through
sort of
some entry level.
like what
Maybe
issue do
just
you have?
relax,
Like,
calm
what
down.
issue do you have?
Maybe we have to go through some entry level philosophical stuff because you're like this retarded. So like, I'm pretty sure you understand this, but the examples do not point out like the conditions, which makes two things exclusive. Of course, it is going to be the case that the Quine does not believe in the position that all things is going to be the types of things which exist because Quine does not believe this. What you stated originally, like the dumb fuck you actually are, you said how Quine determines existence, his view on existence is quantification is going to be the type of thing which is translatable to existence. You deny this because you're retarded, you have a short-term memory loss, and you can't track your own points. And so what you're on right now is specifically what exactly is Quine's fucking view. Because if Quine's fucking view is just simply just to say that, oh, quantification, like something being quantifiable, is that type of thing which exists, then that's a straw man of Quine's view. Well, presumably, even though you are retarded, you're not like at least this retarded to make that claim, right? You're gonna of course neglect and deny the claim that Quine is saying that just to quantify something, or rather for something to be quantifiable, it is the type of thing which exists. Which brings me to the new question, which is simply what is going to be the extra condition which is added into Quine's view, which determines existence outside of just the mere fucking fact of something being quantifiable, for example. What's going to be the extra condition?
This is irrelevant to the question I'm asking you. The question I originally asked you was, what sort of view do you take on existence? And by that, I meant, do you think existence is a predicate of objects, or do you think it's a predicate of concepts, or what are we dealing with here? And you're trying to like go down this little rabbit hole. And now the sub question we're on is, what was wrong with the example I gave, such that you don't understand the distinction between Meinongianism and Quinianism about existence. So I just want you to clarify, where the example went wrong, or what sort of you don't understand about my hashing out of these views and their differences.
You yourself agreed you've not given a sufficient condition, so the example would not sufficiently rule out these two things being non-identical, dumb fuck. That's the first point. The second point is simply you just deflected and derailed from the fucking question because you realized you committed a tier 8 fucking blunder, right? You said specifically, it is the case that under the Quinian position, it is going to be true that something which is quantified over is the type of thing which exists. That's not true, right? If that was to be true, that would basically trivialize existence, and it would basically just point out the lack of relevant distinction between quantifiers in first order logic or higher order logic and something which such as existential commitments in logic, right? These are of course different things. You can quantify over a particular set, and that set has no elements, and so given that particular thing, it results in that is truth without an existential commitments. Which is why I'm asking you the question, by the way, because you made this blunder originally, and you're trying to basically act as if you did not commit the blunder. and acted as if I strawman your position. Now I'm trying to get clear on what your view is on Quan's view, and you're running away every single time I'm asking you this basic, rudimentary fucking question, which is simply, do you believe, yes or no? I want you to just say yes or no to the question, and they can clarify afterwards. Do you believe that Quan's view on existence is just the fucking fact that that exists, if it is the case that it is something you can quantify over? Is that your view on what Quine is saying? And if not, what's going to be the extra condition which differentiates that proposition from Quine's view? Could you answer the goddamn question and stop asking me derailed questions to hide your ignorance in the fucking topic, retard?
Well, I
Thank
mean,
you.
that's kind of ironic because we got here because of your derailing questions, and you just asked me one, in fact. So, I mean, to just like address the question to sort of satisfy your autistic urges. Um, the question is kind of vague. So, by what we can quantify over is like sort of unclear how do you take that? Because obviously, Quine thinks that when we say there is or there exists some object, we're ontologically committing to that object. And in the case of like an empty set, like when we quantify over that set, it's just the case that we're not quantifying over anything. So that like really trivially like solves the little issue you try to bring up there. As for the actual main relevant points, I just want you to point out like where I went wrong with the example, because obviously I agree that examples don't hash out clear, necessary, and sufficient conditions to understand every case example. But I'm just sort of unclear on why I need to do that for you to understand the concepts or the purposes of this conversation. Like, obviously, it's not the case that I need to give exhaustive definitions of like every sort of semi-relevant term. I mean, we can just go off of a mutual understanding based off of ostensive this definition instead of just like being autistic and anal about everything.
That was the rhetorical.
Okay, so just to address a couple of things. So the illiterate scumbag basically agreed on the proposition that the example is not a sufficient condition which rules out one concept from the other, insofar as it does not make it the case that these two things are non-identical positions. He agrees on this, right? But then he's asking me, what is it about this example which is wrong? No one has ever made a claim, by the way, and this is the funniest part of the conversation because he's originally accusing me of mistracking and committing like very obvious tracking blunders, but then committed to do a tracking blunder on his own. No one has ever made the claim, just to be clear in this, that your example was wrong or you gave an incorrect or flawed or inaccurate example, you fucking retard. What I did in fact say, however, is that the example, right, would not be sufficient to hashing out the goddamn concept. Because, of course, you agree that even under that example, it would be the case that these two things would be compatible, but of course, they're not fucking compatible. One position entails all things existing, and that would be the rejection of my non-organism, you dumb fuck retard. The other position would be Quine's view, you making the claim that apparently you don't have to give a sufficient condition to clarify a concept is irrelevant. I'm not making a normative claim. I'm not telling you that you have to use this particular means of approaching the conversation to clarify the concept or for conceptual clarity. I'm not making this claim either. All I'm asking you for is for the sufficient condition which would actually distinguish that view from the other view being established or illustrated in this conversation. I find it also comical that you claim that the question of asked was nebulous. Like, it was not a nebulous fucking question, it's just a fucking retard, right? Clearly, we know what quantification means, right? We're indexing quantification to some particular bound variable in the freaking domain, you dumb fuck. I'm saying, given your original claim on what quant's view actually is, your overly simplified tunnel vision perspective on what quant's view actually is, with respects to existence, it would be the case that all things exist because technically speaking, all things are quantifiable, you dumb fucking retard. You could create a particular domain X, whereas you index to that domain a particular thing that's being talked about in a relevant given conversation. And of course, it would be the case irrespective of whatever theory you might adopt, for example, whether it's a theory which is indispensable given the relevant facts or a dispensable theory. It would be the case given your own position that it is true that this thing would exist, but that's not Quine's position. So I was pointing out that blunder, that overly simple, that over, I should say, that's oversimplification of Quine's view, firstly, and that's, you could say, incomplete explanation of the position, which of course leads to clear reductios, clear absurd consequences. That's just the main reason as to why I was asking you what is the extra condition that would be relevant to Quine's view, by the way, which does not trivially entail some holistic metaphysical commitment. And you kept on derailing and deviating from the question, that relevant question, by accusing me of asking irrelevant questions, even though it was not actually relevant. But the reason as to why you're classifying it to be irrelevant is because you're unable to actually fucking tackle the question intellectually. So I'm going to re-ask you the question for the third time. And let's see if the retard derailed donkey is going to derail from the conversation again. Right? So, alongside quantification, you dipshit piece of trash, what's going to be the other condition alongside quantification which is relevant to Quine's view on existence?
I mean, we can just take that response and dissect it, first to last order. So, I mean, the first thing you said um, was that I didn't, give a sufficient example to, show that my non-Guianism and Quineanism are non-identical as meta-ontological views, and that's just obviously false. See, this is obviously false because if I give one example where it is shown that they do deviate, then it's trivially the case that they're non-identical because they don't share that sort of example, or they don't share, a verdict on the examples I gave. So that's just like obviously false. That's a horrible blunder. Um, Second point, you said that my example is not sufficient to hash out the concept. And this is just what I mean when you say that it doesn't do enough to explain the concept. And I mean, it's kind of ironic because, while you were saying that, you actually did say something I said earlier as an example of like what it actually is, to say that Quinianism and Monongianism are distinct. And what you said there was Quinianism holds that all things exist, or everything exists, and Monongianism does not hold that. And for the third point, you said that if it's the case that people in like conversational contexts, if they quantify over like some irrelevant domain, and in that domain you have like this bound variable x, it's the case that I think that it exists under the Quinian view. This is trivially false. What I'm not saying is that whenever people quantify over x, that means that x exists. I'm saying that the correct view on existence is such that when we have this sort of theory, right? And this theory has quantification over x, y, and z, for example. If this theory is the true or correct theory, then it's the case that x, y, and z all exist. So in other words, the quantifier is just a tool for ontological commitment, and that's sort of view on existence. And to sort of wrap this point up, because I do want to get off of this point because it's like really irrelevant, right? It's really like irrelevant because the original question I asked you was, which sort of view on existence do you take? I mean, you have yet to answer this. You're just trying to be very dishonest right now. I mean, we all expected this from you anyways. I mean, yeah, give your response. I mean, if you don't answer the question, we can just move on to the next point.
Yeah, so just a couple of things, right? So the retard just told me that, yeah, he's trying to get clear on what my view on existence is, even though that's highlighted in the first and the second premise, right? It's very clear what my view on existence actually is. Adopting like a neo-Hegelian idealist position. If you are familiar with Hegel's works, for example, you know the popular phrase where he talks about the inseparability, the ontic inseparability between being and intelligibility. And of course, I'm cashing out intelligibility to be indexed some sort of information or some sort of like semantic or conceptual content. That's number one. So you're going to be telling me that I'm being dishonest, I'm being this sort of disingenuous interlocutor by evading from giving you some sort of perspectival analysis of what existence actually is, even though that's quite literally stated in the first two premises. Maybe if you could read, perhaps you'd have seen that, you know? But kind of concerning right there. You talked about the idea of Quine's view, of course, it being indexed to a true theory, right? I know you just Googled that because it took you like 10 to 15 minutes to actually realize that it's not just quantification, which was the original assertion, which we have clips on the recording, by the way, which can rerun afterwards. Now, just to be clear on a couple of things, right? Because you're saying this is obviously the true view on existence. So to be clear on this, of course, if you're going to be saying Quine's view insofar as his view on existence is correct, then you're going to also be saying simultaneously that it would be the case that right, true theory, right? I'm going to just ask you, is true theory going to be the type of thing which is some given thing like this? And if not, what is going to be something which determines the veracity of a given theory in the context of a Quine view on existence? If that given thing is going to automatically presuppose the existence of certain things, for example, which is indispensable for a theory to be true, then there's going to be a circular objection towards Quine's view on existence, insofar as the very same factor which is being utilized to basically determine existence, for example, is going to be baked in this sort of condition where it presupposes the type of thing which exists or what determines existence, which is quite literally the very same thing which is being investigated, right? So I'm going to just ask you just blatantly just to simplify the question so that your PSI student can wrap its head around the actual point, right? So just to simplify the question for you, okay? What is going to be the determining condition, right, in the context of Quine's view, right, which determines whether or not a theory is correct, which of course is indispensable for you to determine whether or not something exists, given how Quine explains existence in his literature. What's going to be the condition? Is it going to be something which presupposes other existent objects, and that presupposition be something which is necessary? And if so, how does one determine those sort of existent objects being existent, right? And if that's not the case, just tell me the other condition which is relevant to the veracity of these theories, right? I'm curious.
Yeah, so that was just a really brutal mistrack. I didn't grant Quine's view. Not once did I say that Quine's view is obviously true. What I did say was that it's obviously true that Quine's view is a certain way. So I think it's obviously true that the Quinian view is this way or is that way or makes these types of assertions, which you fail to grasp. And that's why you asked those retarded questions, which didn't get you anywhere in the debate, had no mileage, and was completely worthless. Um, I didn't bring up truth theories. I think it's clear that your brain is like sort of GPT-ified. Where you think that if I bring up theory and truth in the same sentence, it means I'm bringing up truth theories. It's not the case. I didn't tie it to a truth theory. So that was also a retarded mistrack. And for the very first things you were saying, you said it's pretty obvious that you're taking a neo-Hegelian view on existence. But I'm sort of unfamiliar with this view. And in the premises, in the first two premises, P1 and P2, you didn't really elaborate on what existence is. So you said that being is inseparable from intelligibility, but this is just like describing a sort of predicate of existence. Like I want to know, for instance, like what is ontological commitment identical to on your view, for instance. So I'm asking about, inequality is instead of a predicative is. And so that's the sort of question I want answered there. You can answer the question now.
Yeah, so hilarious stuff. So first and foremost, no one said truth theory, right? You said truth theory, right? Insofar as it is going to be the case that the quantification of some particular entities which are going to be existent is going to be indexed to a particular true theory, given the relevant facts. That's what he said. And I responded by asking how do you determine a theory being true in the context of that conversation. Never said that it's going to be the case that I'm asking you any particular position on truth theory. That's another mistrack, as the retard attempted to accuse me of mistracking. And another mistrack from the retard is him saying I adopt a neo-Hegelian view on existence. I never said I adopt a neo-Hegelian view on existence. I said I believe in neo-Hegelian idealism, which is different. Neo-Hegelian idealism is not a meta-ontological position, and presumably you're asking me about the meta framework of existence, like what I think is going to be the type of thing which determines existence, right? Neo-Hegelian idealism is not talking about what determines existence, you numbskull. Neo-Hegelian idealism is talking about a fact about existence, a fact about being. It's talking about the idea of being, or if you want to take that to be or to exist, whatever ontology that actually is, that's inseparable, right? And I repeat, it's inseparable from intelligibility. That's not a view on existence insofar as the way you're talking about it, insofar as you're asking me, oh, what determines existence? No. It's not a view on what determines existence. It's a view or facts about existence, given what Hegel believes in. That's radically different. So two mistracks in the course of like 2 minutes or less after the dumb fucking retort accused to be of mistracking. Another blunder again. And this is something which I never actually did not expect. I always expected you to make these blunders because you're Mercury after all. So yeah, just to clarify, no one said I adopt a neo-Hegelian view on existence. Hegel has never made it clear in his literature what his meta-ontology really is. So that was a blunder. And thirdly, I made it clear what my view on existence is. Maybe if you took like, I don't know, like 10 to 15 seconds of your fucking time to read the goddamn premises, right? You would understand this because in the premises, the first two premises, it's me talking about or me implicating that what I believe determines existence is just going to be semantic content or conceptual content. Quite frankly, right? So that should give you an informative answer with respect to what I believe determines existence. Now, if you're going to be asking me what I mean by existence, or some other different questions like my particle meta ontology, and so forth, the necessary and sufficient conditions for determining existence, the sufficient condition, of course, would just be the intelligibility aspect, as highlighted and illustrated in the first couple of premises, which you have yet to actually read or comprehend because of who you actually are. And if you're going to be asking me again the semantic question, that's irrelevant, right? So I've given you the position that would be relevant in progressing the conversation, and I've also explained as to why your position, what my position actually is a huge mistrack. So I want you to lock the fuck in, okay? Just the points I'm making. Stop committing strawmans, stop committing mistracks, and tell me again, how is it the case that I've deviated from your question despite me repeatedly answering it on numerous different occasions?
Right. So I guess we finally have an answer to the question. Well, it's not even a real answer; it's sort of half answer. So when you say that with conceptual or semantical conditions necessarily exist, the same question still applies. Are you talking about concepts, as in sort of predicates, or things as in objects? So, like for instance, this is going to go back to the exact same thing I said, which is why you needed to pay attention when you didn't. So you could say that those predicates or those concepts with conceptual or semantical conditions. You could say that those things are necessarily granted the predicate of existence to a certain degree. So, for instance, like one things, two things, three things, and that concept exists. Or you could say that objects or terms with conceptual or semantical conditions necessarily exist. The same question is still going to apply.
Yeah, so this guy tells me to pay attention, dude. So you're asking me if by concept I'm talking about objects or predicates. It's like so fucking stupid. Of course I'm talking about objects, right? And they are in fact certain predicates which can be conceptual, by the way. But none of these is sufficiently cashing out the fucking concept of what the concept actually is. Right? I'm just taking the concept to be some mental content, right? It's very obvious I've never read anything on theories of concepts, by the way, like either even knowing like what the Platonic view is in concepts or an Aristotelian view or any of this fucking stuff, right? But of course, like generally speaking, in like for example, cognitive science or even things such as like Philip Mind or things such as their concept. So when someone is talking about a concept, they're talking about some freaking mental representation, right? They're talking about something mental, right? So it's not just talking about a object, even though that's what I'm talking about here. It's talking about a mental object. All I mean by a concept here is just a mental fucking object, right? Something which is representational. It could be a visual or a non-visual representation, right? It could be something which is represented, given, or is something which is representational insofar as it is informative, but it's not something which you can visually idealize. For example, it's something which is just representational, given my a priori conceptual schemes or categorical schemes, or sorry, conceptual schemes or transcendental categories, if you believe in some Kantian position, right? That's what I mean there, right? When I'm talking about a concept, just trivially going to be identical to some given mental object. Don't see how using objects or predicates is even something. Those two options are just terrible options to sufficiently capture the concept of what the concept actually is. I just want to make that clear. So hopefully this part of the debate is something which is more, I could say, understandable from your perspective, from your tunnel vision perspective, and we can actually make some relevant progress moving forward. So concept, mental object. Do you understand this? Yes or no?
That was an incredibly retarded response. So I wasn't asking you for a clarification on what it means for something to be a concept, nor was I proposing, sort of theories of what concepts are. I was just saying, a concept can either be an object or a predicate. That's not what I was saying. I was asking you if the things with the conceptual or semantic conditions on your view, which has the predicate of existence, are these predicates making existence a second order predicate, or are they objects making existence a first order predicate? That's essentially the question there. I can't believe I've had to ask this question and rephrase it numerous different times, and you're still not getting it. Like, it's incredibly annoying and frustrating. So just answer the question. Is it first order or is it second order? And I just want you to focus on those terms, because clearly you need like some sort of verbal cue to engage with the argument. It's not even an argument, it's like a questionnaire. This is like the precondition to you actually debating me, and you're failing horribly.
So it's a precondition to you actually debating me, and you're failing horribly.
Anyway, so that was just corny, dude. So, just to address what you're saying, first and foremost, it's a second order property, right? And by existence, just to be clear on this, what I'm saying is a second order property, and specifically talking about something being a mind dependent or a mind independent object, right? So, when I'm talking about intelligibility, and the first two premises is going to be referencing the first order properties. Things that you're not specifically talking about, like whether or not something is mind dependent or mind independent. I want to make the clarity just pretty obvious for not just you, but for everyone else listening. And so, another thing I want to just address firstly before you give your response, right, which I assume is going to be real retarded given the consistent trend of you just making retarded blunders. So, with respects to what you're talking about the objects or predicates dichotomy, right, or disjunction, sorry, you're asking me if I believe that concepts in this context is going to be either objects or predicates, like which one of the options I'm picking, as if they are first and foremost exclusive options. That's the first thing. And secondly, as if it is the case that this has any fucking relevancy to the point that I'm making here, right? The point I'm making here is not just to talk about whether or not it is the case that they are just objects or they are just predicates, because even if we interpret them to be predicates, that's compatible with believing that these things are either first order or not just first order, but rather second order properties, right? So I'm not even understanding the relevance if you talk about predicates that given context, because you can have predicates of a level where it's either at the first order level or at the second order level. So it doesn't even clarify sufficiently what's being talked about there. So the main point of me criticizing your question is just to say that whichever response I give or whichever option I pick from the question, that will still not be sufficient to, again, capture what I mean by concept, or what any actual normal person would mean by context, or a concept, I should say, in philosophical conversations. That was the main reason behind me criticizing your question. And again, you did not even understand this the first couple of times, so I had to just clarify that part for you to understand that this is what I'm actually trying to communicate there when I was criticizing your question. Okay, so just give the response since I've just clarified what I mean by existence, or what specifically I'm talking about insofar as existence is concerned, and then we can just get on with the argument and see what objections you actually have to the goddamn freaking premises.
Who's moderating this? Is it Sakazuki or the other guy? Oh, it's Moose. Okay, Moose, is it okay if we move back to normal discussion? Because this is kind of boring. Like, no, yeah, no talking stick for now. All right, so what did you say in the first sort of bit about mind independency?
So you forgot that part too. So yeah, so what I was talking about there in the mind dependency aspect is just to say that anything about like whether something is mind independent or mind dependent, those are second order properties. I just take those to be meta epistemic statuses of objects, but they're not the types of things which are like first order in nature. No, that's what I was talking about.
Wait, okay, so you think that, anything which is mind dependent or mind independent, you think like those things exist, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's like your criterion for existence.
the criterion for existence is not being mind independent or mind dependent. It's just entailed from my criterion of existence that if something was to exist, it's either mind dependent or mind independent. So that's
Okay, but
another
I'm
blundering,
but I'm just asking you. I'm just asking you, like, what determines whether something is existing?
which I told you on like 5 different occasions.
Well, no, like every time like we go in this back and forth, you seem to think I'm asking for your theory of concepts, which I'm not doing. Like that's like
I never said you're
persistently
asking
what
my
I'm not
question.
doing.
I said you're asking me for my view on concepts, not my theory of concepts.
Yeah, I'm not.
I
I'm not
referenced
asking
theory
you
of
for that.
concepts to point out that you're confused on what the concept actually
Well, I
is.
wasn't. I wasn't even talking about like what concepts are. Like I'm not saying that
Yes, you are.
concepts are either objects or predicates. I mean, if you think
You're
that,
asking
then
me if I
you're just
believe that the
horribly
concept is
mistracting
an
me.
object or a predicate. You've said this
No,
verbatim. You
no,
asked me, do you believe that
that's not what
you're
I
asking
said.
me, do you believe that the concept is an object or a predicate? Do you believe it is going to be first order, second order?
No,
And then you clarify even afterwards.
that's not what I said.
That's exactly what you said, actually. So I
That's
don't know
not
where
what
you're
I
going.
said.
You can
I mean, look,
deny
you
what
can either
happened,
take it
and that's
from
fine.
me, you can either take what I said from me, or you can like keep believing you're
Were
retarded
you
and
ever talking
believe
about
me.
concepts in this conversation? Did you ever bring up any question about concepts?
I did not bring up any question about concepts or concepts are like the
Really?
subject matter of the question.
Really? You never
I
brought
asked
up,
you a
never
question.
asked me
I
any
asked you a question
question on what the
where
concept is.
I asked you a question where the word concept
Oh,
was involved. Yeah, but like your retarded dog brain thinks that means that
are you retarded?
the
So that
sentence is
means you
about
were asking me a
fucking
question about my
concepts.
view on concepts because you're
Well, no,
asking me about
that's not
my stance
entailed.
on
That's like
concepts.
maybe that's true under the
What
retarded
do you think a view
Polanyi
is?
system of entailment,
What
but
do you
it's
think a
not
view
true
is?
under. What do I
Stop
think a
stumbling.
view
What do you
is?
think it is actually?
Why is this relevant? This is like unironically like
Oh,
infinity
why
level
is this? No,
tactics.
you made a stupid
This is
fucking
like
point. You
trolling
just agreed. You
infinity level
asked me a
tactics
question
here,
on what the
and
concept
you're
is,
losing
and then you're
horribly.
asking
You're
me, or then
losing
you're making the
horribly on
simultaneous
basic
claim.
preliminary
You're making the
questions.
simultaneous claim that you never asked me for my view on concepts. Are you fucking stupid?
Yeah,
You
I
can't be
never
this
asked
retarded.
that. Oh
You
my
just said a
god,
while ago you asked me a question on my analysis of concepts.
I did not. I did not say that. I did
You
not ask
just
you that
said this a
question.
couple seconds ago
I
again.
did not. I did. Oh my god. I
I
was
did
asking
not. I
you a
did.
question which
Were
used
any
the
of the
word
questions you've
concept.
asked me about concepts? Yes or no?
What do you say?
Were any of the questions you asked me in this conversation about concepts? Yes or no?
No, they used the word concepts.
So none of the questions you've asked me, by the way, in this conversation was about concepts. To be
Well, it
clear,
depends on what you mean by about. So, like, things can be about something in different
you don't
ways.
know what it means for something to be about
Well, I
something. You
mean,
think it
it's
depends.
sort
You
of a
don't have a
vague
clear analysis on what the fuck I mean by about something.
it's sort of a vague term in the
Now you're trying
mouth.
to project and just impose your
It's sort
autism
of
onto the conversation to dodge the fucking question.
it's sort of a vague term
It started really ironic how you just
in the
dodge it
mouth
after accusing me of dodging.
in the mouth of an immigrant like you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyways,
So,
so were
like,
any
what
of
I
your
mean
questions
by,
about
something
concepts?
being
Yes or
about
no?
something is like concepts are not like the subject matter. I was just not asking,
Is the
are
retard ever going
concepts
to
like
answer
this
a simple
or are
question in this
concepts like that?
conversation?
What I was asking is existence, a property or a predicate of concepts or of objects? And to clarify, what I meant by concepts was predicates. So, like, is a predicate of predicate, which makes it second order,
You
or
never
is it
said
a predicate of
concepts
objects,
are predicates.
which makes
You said
it first
objects
order?
are predicates, retard. What are you talking about?
Oh my god.
The two options you've given did not include concepts. The concepts was what the question was about. The
That
two
was what I was
options was
saying
about objects
earlier.
or predicates. Huh?
I was saying is it a predicate of concepts or objects earlier? And I clarified,
Okay, so you forgot the question
is
you've
it a
asked me about
predicate of
concepts. That's fine.
predicates or
So
objects?
what are the new set of questions you have for me before I forget these other questions again?
I didn't have a new set of questions. The question is
I'm
the
asking
same.
you
The
what
question's been the
are. I'm
same.
asking you what
I mean,
are. I'm not
it's
saying
just a
I'm
sort of
asking you what
testament to your
are.
horrible tracking skills that you think the question has like
I'm
evolved or
expecting we're
changed.
gonna have a new
Like you
set of
genuinely think
questions.
I've asked different questions when it's been the same question the entire time.
Wait, so
Like
you
you have
don't
zero
have a
object
new set of
permanence. You think it's a
questions?
new
You
question every
don't have
time
a
I ask
new
it.
set of questions moving forward?
Moving forward to what? We're not even past this
Moving
point.
forward in this debate, you dumbass retard, you're
We're not
still
moving
arguing against my
forward. We're
argument.
going backwards. We're going backwards
Yeah,
right now.
because you are thinking
No,
backwards. You're
no, no,
just a
no, no,
backward
no,
fucking
no.
thinker.
It's
No,
because
no, 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 no,
you
no,
are
no. Yeah,
taking
shut
this
the fuck
back.
up. So,
You are taking this back.
dude, it's not fun. You're not funny, dude. You're not that guy. Just calm down, champ.
Look,
So, just to
I'm
be
sorry.
clear, do you have any new set of questions? Yes or no?
No, I'm just waiting for this one to be
So you
answered.
concede to the argument. So you concede to the argument.
Well, that's not the entailment.
So, are there any of the premises are you're skeptical towards? Yes or no?
Yeah, probably. I haven't read them yet. We're just getting past premise one here. Like we haven't gotten
So
past
currently, you
premise
don't have a
one.
new set of questions
We
about
haven't gotten
those
past
first two
word two of
premises.
premise one.
How many premises of the argument have you read, you slow brain loser?
I've read 3 premises if you can count conclusions. I've
Three
read
premises. Okay.
premise 1,
Wait.
premise
Three
2, and
premises?
conclusion.
Wait, 3 premises? Hello? You said three
Hello?
premises?
Are you going to answer the question I asked you?
Why is the
Because I
retard
can
dodging?
see,
You said three premises,
I
correct?
can see right now
You
you're
said
like
three
you're
premises,
sort of
correct?
inching away from the
You
point
said
here.
three premises,
You're
correct?
inching away from the point
You
here.
said three premises, correct?
Oh, okay, so just to reiterate, the question was, what's your
He's
criterion
using the
of
made in China
existence?
laughs to cope with the fucking demolition we're going through right now. This is crazy. Answer the
What's your
question. Answer
criterion
the
of
question.
existence?
Did you
What's
say? Did
your
you
criterion
say
of
three
existence, Apollo?
premises?
Come
Did
on.
you say three premises?
What's your criterion of existence?
This is a stage 4 of being a dumb fuck retard like Mercury. It's when you ask someone a question to dodge their question
I mean,
because you don't want
we
to
can
actually
hold a
answer any
poll
fucking
right now.
question, right? So this is stage 4. This is
Is
stage
relevant to the
4. This is
conversation?
stage
Is
4.
it the
This
question
is
about
stage 4 of
criterion
being
for
a piss
existence, or is
poor
the question
dumb
about whether I
fuck,
said
right?
3
You ask a
premises?
question
Which
to
question is
deviate
more
from
relevant,
the
chat?
question that
I
you're
want
being
you to
asked
answer this
originally because
first.
you
Which
won't
question
answer the
is more
goddamn fucking
relevant to the
question.
fucking conversation?
Stage 4, by the way, of being a dumb fuck like Mercury. So are you going to answer my question? Yes or no?
Look, I mean, you know you're an expert
Did
on
you
this
say
already.
did you say you read 3 premises? Yes or no?
What's your criterion for existence?
So you did say you read 3 premises because everyone heard this. Now tell me which of the premises do you reject or are you skeptical towards?
Well, that depends. We'd have to go through them.
So you have not went through them in your pea-sized brain yet, dumb fuck?
I'm sort of
Are this fucking
hyperfixated
slow?
on your retardation because you're
Oh yeah,
like,
fixated on your retardation.
okay,
Says the guy
so
who
like
is literally
what
exposing
Apollo
himself
tries to
of
do
having
in his
retardation right
debates
now.
is like
Isn't
he
that
likes
so
to,
ironic?
say a
Isn't that
lot of
so ironic?
retarded stuff, and then you have to like scramble to point out each retarded thing he says, and then eventually you're gonna get tired,
What are you
and
even
one of the
saying right
retarded
now?
things
Are you
he's
okay?
saying is gonna
Are you
slip
in
through,
judge?
and then he's going to hyperfixate on some irrelevant, sort of topic. Like, did I say
Uh,
3 premises?
yeah, dude.
And he's going to evade the normal question, which is, what's your criterion for existence? That's the
You
normal
try to
question.
do the meta rhetoric stuff and then you just stumble with every single fucking
This is
sentence.
not
So
meta
now that you're
rhetoric.
done
This is
talking to
substance.
yourself,
This is
now
not
that you're
meta
done
or
talking to
rhetoric. This
yourself,
is substance. You're
now
wrong
that
on
you're
both
done
counts.
talking to
You
yourself,
fucking
okay,
retard.
I'm gonna
You
ask you
decided
again.
that,
I'm gonna
retard.
ask you
You
again.
decided that.
Which of the
Look.
premises do
I'm
you
not done.
accept
I'm
or
not done.
reject?
I'm not done.
Pipe down and just answer my question.
Look. So the
You
question is,
spineless fucking coward.
What's your criterion of existence?
By criterion, are just talking about the thing which sufficiently determines existence, retard?
Yeah, what are the conditions for existence? What are necessary and sufficient conditions? If you don't have
Read the
necessary and
first
sufficient
premise and
conditions,
the
you can
second
give an
premise, and
example.
you'll actually understand the criterion. By the way,
What's the criterion?
I stated in the
Is
second
it
premise,
having
actually, in the
okay?
first
So
premise.
if it's just the same thing
Did you
about
not
having
read the premises?
conceptual, is if it's just the same thing about having conceptual or semantical conditions, then I asked you a question about that, which is it a predicate of predicate, or is it a predicate of the object? And you haven't answered that.
Is it the predicate or a predicate of the object?
No, that's not what I said. Is it a predicate of a
All
predicate, or is it a
predicates are
predicate
about
of the
objects.
object?
That's what he said, actually, verbatim.
That's not
Like,
what I
you
said.
just forgot what
You're
you just said
mishearing me.
seconds ago? Are
You're
you
mishearing
okay?
me.
I'm not
You're
mishearing
mishearing
anything,
me.
you're just mistracking your own fucking points.
So what's the answer?
The question you've asked originally was just fucking unintelligible. Right? You said, are they predicates or predicates of objects? All predicates are about
Let me
objects.
ask it again. So is it a predicate of a predicate, or is it a predicate of an object? Which one?
Predicate of a predicate, I believe.
Of belief.
No, it's a predicate of a predicate, I would believe.
You would believe. Okay, so like, which predicate is it a predicate of?
Of a specific epistemic property insofar as the relation.
The epistemic property,
I'm answering the
insofar as the
question. Just calm
relation.
down. Don't panic. Don't panic. Just relax. Okay. So
Okay,
I don't know
so
why you're
you
doing the
think
made
it's
in
a
China laughs
predicate
again.
of an
The fake
epistemic
laughs again.
relation, right? You think it's a
You don't think it is the
predicate of
case that
an
the epistemic
epistemic?
relations can count as predicates?
No, it's not. That's not what I
So what
said.
is funny about my response? What is funny about my response? Tell me.
Bro,
Tell
why are
the
you so
audience.
triggered? I was laughing. Calm down.
You're laughing at what? You're
Bro, I'm
laughing
sorry.
at you
I
getting
didn't mean
blown
to
out.
hurt your fucking ego. Your
No
response is
one's ego
perfectly
is
okay,
hurt. We're just
Apollo.
confused as to why
Look,
you're autistically laughing for no goddamn reason.
you're
Even
confused.
though
I
the
mean, I
person was
think
trying
it's
to
pretty
respond to your
obvious. I
question.
mean, look,
You
the
asked the
people in the
question
chat
and
are
the person is
laughing with me.
responding to your
The people
question
in the chat are
and
laughing
you
with
just
me. Seems like
autistically
I'm pretty
laugh out of
nervous with me
nowhere
right
for
now.
no reason.
Like, so you
Really?
think it's a predicate
So
of
what's
epistemic?
the
You think
problem
it's
with
a
my response to
you
your
think it's a
question?
you think it's a predicate of epistemic relations? And like, what exactly are
I
these
take the epistemic
relations?
relations to just be a predicate insofar as it talks about whether or not an object or the relation an object has with the world itself.
So epistemic, like, what epistemic relation is it? Is it just like how the object is related to the world, or like, because that's what you just
No
said.
shit. Yeah, of course, yes. And the world can just be either, it's going to be dependent on the reference of the parts of the proposition. Depends what the proposition is fucking about. So if the world is about, like, for example, some empirical feature which is taken to be external, then we can just basically index the predicate to be something which is reflective of whether or not such object is going to be dependent on said thing existent or independent of such said thing existent, for example.
So did you say
Is this clear
word?
enough for it to
Did you say
understand,
word
retard?
or world? Did you say word or world?
I'm saying the word which is referenced by the proposition.
Okay, I thought you were saying world because you have a bit of an accent there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No one ever thought that, by the
So
way. It was pretty pronounced clearly.
so you think it's a predicate of an epistemic relation, and the epistemic relation is the relation the word has to facts.
You're still confused about what I'm saying? Like, genuinely.
You
Is
gonna
this
answer
your
the
way of just not
question?
attacking the freaking argument?
And the epistemic relation is the relation the
Okay,
word
so
has to
I'm
what?
gonna give you a job. I'm gonna give you a clear task for it to do. Given the argument for where God exists, right? Let's stage one of the arguments, right? What I'm gonna ask you right now is, from now on, I'm gonna ask you, do you have any objection to the argument, or do you want me to prove any of the premises? And if so, which of the premises do you want me to prove?
I just want you to answer the question I'm asking you right now. We can get to that later.
Well, the real dumb fuck questions you're asking me right now, which doesn't even progress the conversation, is not going to really do any good job for you, specifically optically, right? So
So
I'm
I mean,
asking you right now.
are you
You're
gonna
gonna have
answer
the
the
burden of
question?
rejoinder. You're gonna have the burden of rejoinder
Are you gonna
to either
answer the
ask. You're
question?
gonna keep on interrupting because you're scared. Oh shit, he's panicking.
Well, I'm interrupting because you aren't
Yikes. Oh
answering the
yikes.
question.
Oh yikes. In this case, it is because your interruption is not coming in the form of you objecting the premises in any way whatsoever. So I'm gonna ask you again.
Like
Right?
what
Is it
relation?
the case? Do you have any
What is
objection
the
to the
word related
premises?
to?
If so, what's the objection?
What is the word related to?
Waiting for the response to the goddamn question.
What's the relation and what is the word related to?
Waiting for the response. Do you have any objection or not? Like, tell us what the
I mean,
fucking
I of
objection
course I
is.
have objections. I'm just gonna give it
Okay,
after I
so give us
fully
the
understand.
objections. God damn it, dude. Stop
I'm just gonna
wasting
give
your
it
fucking time.
I'm just gonna give it after I understand clearly what you're saying.
Or maybe we
So,
can just give it before.
so like the what is
And
the
we just
relation?
you're claiming you have
What's the
objection. Give the
relation?
objection right now.
What's the relation the word has, and what is it related to? I'm just like
You
waiting.
said it yourself literally seconds ago when you're talking about like world and when you're talking about the epistemic relations. So that's another blunder.
Okay,
So
but
again,
okay,
you
I
answered
thought
your own question
I asked you if
unironically.
you're saying word or world.
You answered your own
I asked you
question
if you're saying
unironically
word or world,
literally
and
seconds
you said
ago,
you were
but you're
saying
so
word.
retarded to even figure that part out too.
Okay,
So what's
so
your
you were
objection to
saying
the
both
argument?
word and world.
What's your objection to the argument?
So you were saying both word and
What's
world,
your objection
or
to the argument?
just
What's your objection
okay.
to the argument?
I think we can go back to talking stick now.
What's your objection to the argument?
You there, Miss?
He has no objection, by the way, guys, just to be clear.
Yeah. So we can just get the retard on the mute button, and we can continue.
So who's gonna go first? You wanna go first?
I'm just waiting for stick to be enforced. Oh, sorry, I didn't notice it was enforced. Okay. So the epistemic relation is what the word has to the world. And I just want to ask you, is this like a truth making relation? Is it like a correspondence relation? Like what sort of relation is it?
Yeah, so just to be clear on a couple of things, right? So I've literally clarified what type of relation it was, and the retard himself stated the relation, and now he's re-asking me what the relation is because he forgot the fucking relation. He himself stated the relation. The relation being that it's going to be epistemic relation, right? There's going to be epistemic relation, right? And that would answer the
Well, I
fucking question.
understand that it is an epistemic.
Bro,
I'm just
shut the
asking
fuck
what
up. You
exactly the
goddamn
relation
ape, shut
is,
the
because
fuck.
that
I'm gonna
doesn't
mute
tell
you myself, right? Yeah, shut the fuck up. You fucking disgusting, hairy, low IQ fucking ape who can't even understand the fucking basic points, right? The relation in the context of this conversation, as you have stated, and as I have stated, of course, these epistemic relations. It's talking about whether or not something is going to be dependent on just our mere epistemic faculties with respect to how we determine whether or not something is existent or not, right? And if something is not dependent on such faculties, it is not mind dependent, and if it is, then it is mind dependent. Right, that's basically what I was talking about there. So you actually answered your own goddamn question, but you're not paying attention because you're fucking stupid. That's number one. Number two is I'm asking you right now, right, what's going to be, right, the objection to the premises? If any of your responses, or sorry, if none of your responses coming forward or moving forward in your next upcoming response is going to be an objection, whether in the form of skepticism or in the form of a direct counter argument, I'm going to take that as a direct concession for you not fulfilling your burden of rejoinder and end the conversation. I'm not going to spend 1+ hour of educating the fucking special ed fucking loser dork online and trying to teach him basic English fucking language and clarify every single fucking word. What I'm going to do, however, is going to try to get the fucking retard back on track with the conversation by actually asking him for a skeptical objection or a counter argument, right? Or if not, we can just end things off right here and take it as you basically fail to address. And I'll just take it to be the case that you're just failing to address any of the goddamn premises. I'm not sure which monkey muted me while I was still talking, but if that's going to happen, then I'm not going to agree on talking instead because the moderator is just as incompetent as this retard I'm debating right now. But yeah, that's what I was going to finish off my sentence by saying.
Yeah,
Now I can
sure,
mute.
sure. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but earlier you said that, you know, the word has an epistemic relation to the world, and this epistemic relation is cashed on in terms of sort of epistemic faculties we have, and if it is dependent on these things, then it's a mind dependent object, and if it isn't dependent on these things, then it's a mind independent object. Is that right?
Waiting for the objection, by the way, Lotier.
I mean, this is sort of building up to an objection.
I don't see why your objection hinges on me answering your fucking retarded question. Just give the objection.
So, are you gonna refuse to answer the question?
So how many more minutes until the retard actually give an objection to the fucking argument?
I'm just waiting for you to answer.
I've clarified in my previous response that everything I'm going to be answering from now on is just going to be objections to my fucking argument, and that's it.
Right. I
So if
mean,
it's not an objection, not
so
answer the
you're
fucking
just like
question.
throwing. So you're just throwing the debate. That's fine.
So you're just running away from giving
So
an actual
you're
objection. You have no
literally
fucking response.
refusing to answer questions. You are
Yeah,
the
I'm
one
refusing
running
to answer
away.
derailed questions which don't
You're the
even
one with your
object to
tail
the fucking
tucked,
arguments. I
buddy.
agree.
You have your
Yes.
tail tucked
Yes. You're getting
beneath,
there. Congratulations.
beneath your
Wow.
butt cheeks. Your tail
Fantastic, dude.
tucked
You're able
between
to
your butt cheeks.
understand when I'm going to respond to a fucking
Between
question.
your
Yes.
Jamaican butt
So what's the
cheeks.
objection? So what's the objection you claimed
What's
you
the
have,
answer?
retard?
What's the answer to
What's
the
the
question?
objection you claimed you have, retard?
The objection is predicated off of the clarification.
So to be clear, currently you don't have an objection, right?
I have a pending objection.
A pending objection. Okay,
Yep, that's
let's just
contingent
take
on
it
whether
out
or
of the
not you
state of
respond.
pending to non-pending by you giving the fucking
Well,
objection right
that
now.
can only happen if you help me out by clarifying.
That can only happen if I clarify for you what the fucking concepts mean.
That's not what I said.
You just said that can only happen if I can respond to your question, correct? Presumably, your questions are about clarification, right?
You
He's
gonna
done
answer the
locked again.
question?
His brain is fucking buffering. Give him some
Yeah,
time, guys. Holy
yeah,
shit.
that's why I paused awkwardly. It's because
Yeah, your
I
brain is
don't know how to
buffering, dude.
respond. That's
Holy
why I
fucking
fucking
shit,
paused.
dude.
You're so
That's why this word. Yeah,
inept.
your
Look,
brain is buffering.
I'm sure you've had
Yes,
this
so
one
what's the
before.
response, dude?
I'm sure you've heard this one before, but
Waiting
you're
for the
genuinely
actual
like
objection.
socially inept.
It's been like over like 30
So
minutes, I suppose,
what's
and
the answer
still
to the
no
question?
objection from
What's
Mercury.
the answer to the
Interesting.
question? I mean, you
Interesting
still have
stuff.
no clarification from Paula.
So I've never given any clarification in this conversation, right? Brain is buffering again. Holy fucking shit, dude. Oh my god, man. You're just not
Yep, that's
intellectually
fine.
qualified for this conversation. You're just punching way above your IQ weight class at this point. Like, what are you even doing right now?
I mean, that's fine, but do you have an answer to the
I mean,
question?
that's fine. That's your best response.
Look, that's fine, but do you have an answer to
Seriously,
the
that was your best
question?
response. That's fine. That's fine.
Look,
Seriously.
I mean, this is debating
So
is
what's your
supposed to be like
objection?
a sort of
What's your
turn-based.
objection?
It's supposed to be
I'm
like a
gonna
sort
give
of
you 3 minutes.
turn-based
I'm gonna start the
thing,
timer.
and you're just like
I'm gonna start the.
refusing. Actually, I mean, if you're just not gonna engage, then you can just like fuck off and leave VC. Stop wasting our time.
Right now, just give me a second.
Look, we've been giving you many seconds, brother. We've been giving you a lot of seconds.
Okay, retard. So let's get it.
I love how Magi is like dictating both of us. Cause like
Okay, so the timer just
I
started.
look
By the
at
way,
chat,
you got
Magi's
like
dictating
2
me. I
minutes and
look at chat
55
again,
seconds
Magi's
to give an
dictating
objection to
him.
the argument.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, look, I don't understand why Apollo's being so
There are
mean.
2 minutes and 38 seconds. By the way,
I'm like the nicest person to
you
Apollo
sound
in
so
this
confused. What's
server.
going on, retard? Are you
Like
okay?
everybody else who's debated Apollo has like brought up how he's like a rapist, or like an e-rapist, brought up how he's like a pedophile,
And now
how he
he's
like
ranting
talks to
about
little
rape. You're
teenagers,
ranting about rape.
you know, how he's ugly as
Everyone was debating
fuck,
me. Everyone,
how he lost to
everyone,
Westbound in a face for
everyone,
face. I mean,
everyone,
those sorts of things.
everyone. What are you talking
So I
about?
mean, I'm really nice to
You're having a
Apollo, and I have
schizophrenic
sympathy for
meltdown
him
again.
because
He
he's
won't even attack the
disabled
fucking
and
argument.
autistic.
He won't even
And
attack the fucking
just to
argument. What the
clarify, we're
retard
just
is
gonna
doing
get a
right
mute
now
on the
is
retard.
coping.
We're gonna get a mute on the retard. Thank you for that kind
What the retard is
bystander.
doing right now is
Appreciate it.
coping with no
And
objection by
I'd like you
ranting
if I
about.
could just get continuous protection. Thank you. So I mean,
There's no talking.
Apollo is many things. Number one, he's a retard. Number two, he's a
So what's going to happen is either there's going to be talking stick or no talking stick. Which one is it? You're not going to waste everyone's fucking time and rant and do like this
Oh,
back and
look, it's
forth,
funny
and
how
when
you're
you blow the
stealing
fuck
my
out of the
jabs. It's
conversation,
funny
you
how
demand
you're
a talking
stealing my
stick
jabs.
afterwards.
Look, I mean, Apollo, all you can
Is it
do
going to be a
is talk
talking
to
stick or
minors
no?
on
Which
this
one is
app.
it?
And you either get your ass beat by
Is it a
minors or you
talking
get
stick or no
rejected by
talking stick?
minors. And it seems like you
No
got
talking stick?
rejected by
Okay, got you.
minors
Cool.
earlier, and now
So,
you're getting
anyways,
your
now
ass beat by a minor. And so that's really bad. I mean, you have a really
the
bad
retard is
track
running away
record
from the
with
fucking
the
points right now.
underage. And it's kind of pathetic. I mean, like,
What is
if
he
you see the
talking about?
people
Would he
in
give an
chat,
actual freaking
sending,
argument? Yes or no? Would he
the
give an
usual
argument?
screenshots, if you just like get the usual
Will he give an
rotation
argument?
on. So, for instance, like Quark, the horse messages,
So will the
the
retard give
scat
an argument?
messages,
Will the retard give an argument?
the
Will the
food
retard
size
ever give an
messages,
objection to the fucking argument? Or will he just
the
keep on ranting like a fucking
femboy
dumb fuck
messages. I mean,
schizophrenic
there's like a litany
dumbass
of
and
things,
not give an actual
that we
argument?
have on.
What's your objection to the
Look,
argument? Of giving you the fucking argument,
okay,
which is
okay,
logically valid
okay, okay,
as to
okay,
why God
okay, okay,
exists. So
okay,
I'm gonna
okay,
ask you
okay,
again. I'm gonna
okay,
ask you
okay, okay.
again
Okay,
and again and again and
I
again.
understand. I understand. I
What's your
understand.
objection to the fucking argument? We
Okay,
don't care about you
okay,
ranting to
okay,
yourself and
okay,
talking to yourself
okay.
about how you believe that other retards were calling me a rapist. What we care about right now, you dumb illiterate scumbag,
Look,
is for it to give an
look,
objection and talk about God's existence. Stop trying to
look,
deal with the fucking conversation. Don't be a
look,
deal with a fucking donkey. So again,
look. I mean,
what's your
so
objection? What's your
look,
objection?
if you need to be reminded, the reason why we're
7 seconds, by the
engaging
way, left.
the reason
Five
why we're
seconds.
engaging this is because Apollo refused to answer the
What's your
question.
objection?
And
What's your
I
objection?
just
Oh,
okay.
by the way,
I have an objection. I
three
have an
minutes just
objection.
passed on the timer, and
Wait.
you
I have an
have
objection.
to
I
give
have an
it.
objection. I have an
We're
objection.
gonna do another 3 minutes
I have an
timer for this
objection.
dumb
I have an
retard.
objection.
What's your
I
objection to
have
the
an
fucking
objection.
argument?
Okay. Okay,
What's your objection to the
is it okay
goddamn
if the
argument?
objection comes in the form of a
What's
question?
your objection to the goddamn argument?
Is it okay if it comes in the form
Is,
of a
is, is,
question?
is, is, is it okay with you just freaking giving an
Is
objection
it
right now,
okay if it
retard?
comes in the form of a
Is
question?
it okay? Shut the fuck
Is it?
up. Give an objection.
I just need to be sure.
I just say stop stumbling,
Because
you
look,
fucking idiot.
unlike
What's your
you, I
objection
actually
to the
value
argument? He has no
consent.
objection. This autist, it just came into the conversation to try to grandstand, and I was getting blown the fuck out in the grandstand rhetorical troll tactic, and then now he won't give an objection. Over
No,
3 minutes
you should
passed,
like
by the
get into
way, and you've
operative.
yet to give an objection. You've yet to give an objection. So I'm gonna keep
Yeah,
on
the
waiting
objection
for the
is
actual objection to the freaking argument. What's the objection?
why did you
What's your
lose?
objection?
Why did you lose to
What's
Westbound in a
your
face for face? Like, do you think it's because of your interpupillary distance? Do you think it's because of your maxilla? Is it because of your wide nose? Is it because you look like an autistic retard? Is it because you have low appeal due to being a pedophile? Is it because you're retarded? Is it because you
I don't
won't
know. I'm getting
answer the
muted. There's no
question?
talking stick right now, right? Is there any word you want to clarify, retard?
Well, you were already getting to that.
Which
Like,
word in the argument you want to
it's funny how
clarify?
like now you're pivoting
Which
back to
word in the
clarification.
argument you're seeking
You
clarification
were
on?
refusing to
You-
clarify.
you- you- Shut
Look,
the fuck
is
up,
it
dude.
okay if we could?
Anyways,
Is it
what's
okay
your
if somebody
objection
could?
to the argument?
Is it okay if somebody could
You
mute?
said you understood all the
I
words in
mean,
the premise.
Hey, seems as though we need
Just
a
not the clarification.
moderator.
yeah,
Hi,
we need to
guys.
moderate it. Like, we need
All
somebody
right,
to mute the dog,
great. All
please.
right,
Lovely
great.
seconds, okay.
Yeah,
I'll go
please,
All right,
first. I called first.
please, and thank you. I'll go first. Me.
all right.
I
So
already
we're gonna
called
do.
first.
Yeah,
You're gonna
pick
We're
have to
me.
gonna
go
do.
after
All
the
right,
card.
look, we're gonna do a
Pick me,
coin
bro.
flip. All right, Mercury, call it, bro.
Heads.
All righty, it is going to be tails. All right,
Okay,
Apollo,
so I'll just go
going
first.
first. Go ahead, kid.
Yep. So just pipe down there. Just go back on the fucking leash, you dumb fucking monkey. Now, just to be clear on this, he claimed that his questions, by the way, was not aimed towards semantic clarity, right? So that means, with respect to what the premises actually are, he understands what the fucking premises are. He understands what the premises he has read so far is representative of. It's not semantic clarity. It's not a matter of it being the case that he does not understand what the words fucking mean because it's defined what the concept actually is. I've given him, sorry, my belief of what I think a concept is, and I've also told him that I believe that in the case of existence, I believe it is a second order property, and I told him in what sense it's going to be some second order property. It's going to be a second order property, I should say, sorry, insofar as it's going to be descriptive of epistemic relations and meta epistemic statuses of given objects. So these things were already clarified insofar as my belief and my analysis on and what a second order property actually is, as well as the fact of me believing that it is a predicate, right? So these are clarified, the words are clarified, the jargons are clarified. The dumb fuck originally did not know what Hegelian idealism was. I clarified that for him also, gave him a free lecture on that too. So there's no word in the argument, which is conceptually ambiguous or requires any clarification, like, at least given what he knows about the argument this far. So all the questions he's asking me is going to be fundamentally irrelevant to progressing the dialectic, right? So again, right, he claimed originally he had objections, he has objections. Now I'm asking him, what are the objections to the argument? Every single question which is not aiming towards asking me what I mean by a particular word is just going to be taken to be an irrelevant question if it is not going to be a skeptical objection insofar as you're asking me to prove a claim, or it's going to be an objection in the form of you giving a counter argument as to why a given claim in the argument is false. Right? So again, either you ask me to prove a claim or you disprove a claim, or I'll take your concession on the given conversational topic itself and just leave the fucking voice call. So again, give a goddamn objection. Stop giving schizophrenic fucking meltdown tangent, temper tantrum bullshit sessions. Right? Give a fucking objection. Right? And from there on, we can make some meaningful fucking progression. Okay? What's your objection to the fucking argument?
All right. There are a few things to address here. So, first, like, what I want to address first is that, you went through this, sort of chain of explaining what happened in the conversation. So you said, I clarified this, I clarified that. But, you conveniently left out the most recent thing I was asking about. And just to clarify for the audience and for you guys only, because I think we all already know that Apollo's not going to answer or engage, unfortunately. The question was, is it the case that when this epistemic relation is absent between the word and the world, you know, is it the case that this entails or implies or means that the object in question is a mind independent object? And, this is relevant because, it gets into concerns about whether or not it's sort of bootstrapping or presupposing, what needs to be justified or what needs to be shown. And sort of that's why, I was asking these questions, right? And I think it's all very sensual and, very intimate, but I don't think Apollo's respecting, the intimacy or sensuality of the conversation. I'm just very disappointed and disrespected by that. And so those are some of my thoughts on like the first point. And the second point, I just don't know how to deal with this. I mean, it's just really, really sad. I mean, like with all my other patients, it goes really nice, but like this one's like a tough customer. But I guess we all just keep trucking along, don't we? I mean, so, what else do we have to address? Oh, yeah. So, look, earlier I sort of said something about like how you got face mogged by Westbound in the announcements channel. And I think that might have hurt your feelings a bit. And so you might want to stop being friends with me. But I want to keep being friends with you because I really like bullying you and, shitting on you because it makes me feel better about myself because somebody like you exists. So I'm very grateful to you for existing. And ironically, that sort of circles back to my point about how you can't, sort of clarify exactly what you mean by existence. Because not only are you ugly as fuck, and not only do you get mocked by Westbound, who also, comedically mocked you in the sort of interaction you had with them earlier, you're also retarded, like clinically retarded. And, that sort of circles back to how I said you're my patient because, I think you're hallucinating all of this and you're actually inside of a fucking strip jacket, right? And you're facing a white wall. And right now I'm behind you. I'm behind a one-way mirror, right? And I'm whispering into your ear very nasty and very bad things. And this is all done to make you, engage with the substance. And the substance essentially takes the form of an ice pick that's being driven into your frontal lobe because I'm giving you a lobotomy because you've been a very bad person and bad people need to be deleted, right? And so what we're doing right now is we're deleting you and we're replacing you with somebody who's better, somebody who's smarter, somebody who's faster. And I just want to say that this person already exists, right? And it just so happens that this person is named Shinra, right? And that Shinra is just the improved Apollo, right? Shinra is faster. Shinra is smarter. Shinra is harder. Shinra is longer. Shinra is thicker. Shinra is more rhetorical. Shinra is better. I mean, Shinra is better in every capacity. My bad. My bad. Anyways, Shinra's just better in every way, and that's why he sort of bitched you in your conversation with him, right? And I think it's okay. Just like we can just sort of put a pin in that, right? And we can sort of go onto the other relevant pressing topic, which was let me just start this by bringing up a reminder, right? So you said that you had a sort of timer, right? And if I didn't meet your condition before the timer was over, you said you'd fuck off and leave the VC and sort of take it as a concession. Now, I noticed that your timer, ran out about 10 minutes ago. And for some reason, you're still in the voice in the voice chat, right? And it just seems like you don't respect yourself there. I mean, if you don't respect the own boundaries and promises you make to yourself, then how can anybody else respect you, right? I mean, like, if you continue like doing all this stuff and you continue like setting deadlines for yourself, setting conditions for yourself, and you just don't meet them, then that just sort of keeps ruining your sense of self, right? Like, it keeps worsening how you feel about yourself because you can't even make a promise to yourself. You can't even keep a promise to yourself. That's how pathetic you are. I think right now you're just a mangled whole of feelings and thoughts, right? And these thoughts are only semi-coherent, right? And these feelings are very rabid and very immature, right? And so what you want to do is you want to have a person suit, right? And this person suit is something you wear so you can receive validation and acceptance from other people. But unfortunately, your person suit is thrifted. And because of this, it means your person suit is not very appealing, right? It means your person suit is wrong. It's fundamentally wrong. And this is why, nobody likes you. This is why, in your debate with Sinfa about 6 months ago, you got yelled at by your neighbor. Your neighbor told you to, quote unquote, shut the fuck up. And that was sort of very traumatic to you. And, I just want to bring that up to, sort of probe the sort of emotional responses you're going to have. And I noticed that, you're still in the VC and you're still listening, right? And I expect that you're taking notes on this, right? Like you said you were earlier. So, you said you were like writing things that I was saying down. And I think that's very good. And I hope you're doing the same thing here, right? Because this is very important. This is a life lesson. I just want to improve all of us in a very, meaningful and wonderful way. So, I mean, look, before we wrap this up, I just want to give shout outs to, everybody in the VC. So, shout out Gios, shout out D1, shout out Infinity, shout out Yugi, shout out Eric, shout out Goons. I mean, all of these wonderful people who are here with the VC, with us right now. I mean, that's sort of wonderful, right? And I think this is something that we can all, sort of congregate around and celebrate, as people in a communion and in a society, right? And so I guess, what I really want to stress is that Apollo did not answer my question. He did not answer my question. And I just want to let everybody, I just want to let everybody know that because he didn't answer my question, he's going to lose. He's going to lose this debate. And that's just inevitable, right? And I feel like this is sort of an important concept because, look, we all know he's going to lose. We all know that he's going to walk out of this conversation, you know, with a sort of loss on his belt, another loss on his very wide fucking belt, right? And I think it sort of represents, death, right? Because death is an inevitable loss. Death is something that pursues us all as something which makes us all a loser in the end. And I think this reflects on how Apollo has a deep fear of death. He does not want to die. He wants to be Apollo. He wants to hail Apollo. He wants to be the one to be the.
All right, someone muted him. It wasn't me, but I think it was about damn time,
That
bro.
was me. It's been like 50 minutes. So just to respond to the actual arguments, because you're just wasting my time. So yeah, first and foremost, it's just speaks volumes of the low caliber of the server, right? You head into debates to debate about God's existence. Someone gives you an actual argument for why God exists, and you spend 15 minutes ranting to yourself about whispering in someone's ears. You mispronouncing the word hallucinating as hallucinin, and you symbol again, like you spitting over your words. This is rhetoric. This is supposed to be the signs of good debaters around here. I mean, this is just really sad. This is pathetic to actually witness. But unlike the retard, I'll do something which is called talking about the relevant topic, talking about the topic that we agreed upon, talking about whether or not God exists. Unlike the retards, which is this guy and Westbound respectively, who can stay on track because they have no intellect, no argumentation. This is their coping mechanism and their defense against someone who is far more intellectually superior, someone who is their intellectual and rhetorical and dialectical predator, right? Just to get back to the point, right? So we
Yo, who muted, bro?
objection to the
Look,
freaking
we're
argument.
all
That's
aware that
number
you're a
one.
predator, Apollo.
And
You
you're
don't
still
need to
going
admit it.
because you're
We're
scared
all
of the
fucking
fucking
aware
point.
of
You're
that,
scared.
Apollo.
You're scared.
Are
We're
you
all
And we get it.
fucking
Don't
are
panic.
aware of
Don't
that.
panic. We know you're
We're all
scared. We know
fucking
you don't want
aware
to
of that,
debate.
Apollo.
We know you just want to derail the conversation, and you got mute like a good bitch.
Yo, shut up, nigger.
bro? Who is doing that, bro? Mercury, if that's you,
So
kid.
anyway, just to talk about the actual argument, because of course no one cares about the actual debates here, because this
Nobody
service
cares about you, Apollo.
infested with low IQ cockroaches, by the way. Right. So
Lives in
just to be clear on
France,
a
by
couple
the
of
way.
things, right? We have established. Pipe down there, monkey. You can get your turn afterwards.
That's ironic.
So we've
Colonial monarchy.
established. Aslick, pipe down, son. Relax. Good boy. So, anyways, we've established that the retard is not given any objection to the argument. No objection to any of the premises he has read. He has not even asked me to prove a single claim, right? That's just going to be an automatic sort of failure, dialectical failure on the basis of burden of rejoinder. That's number one. Number two is simply that I've established as to why all the words, all the terminologies have been clarified. Okay, we're not going to do an infinite regress, whereas we ask, okay, what is this? What's your belief on this? What's your belief on that? Without you tying it back to the fucking topic. Okay, if it is not something which is going to be you asking me to clarify what I mean by a particular word, then it's fundamentally irrelevant. If it is not going to be a skeptical objection in the form of you asking me to prove something, are you asking me how I would basically reconcile a given contradiction in my position? You have not asked me how I would reconcile a contradiction, sorry, or how it's going to be the case that my position lacks proof. You have not requested or interrogated for any proof or any evidence for any of the propositions. And again, about the existence stuff, to be clear in this, we've already went over the existence parts, right? And you're just running the timer by going back to a point which you've already hashed out, you've already went over, and to basically derail again from the current point of the conversation, which is for you to give an actual goddamn fucking objection to the fucking argument, right? That's number one. Existence. I don't have a fleshed out semantics of existence, and I think that's irrelevant, right? I think we all have a notion of what existence actually is, even if it is not the case that it is something which has a particular semantics. So that question, just first and foremost, did not attack at any of the points of the argument, right? All I'm saying there in this given context, and I'm saying God exists objectively, is just to say that God is a part of the external world. Just like how a retard like you exists externally to one's mind, God exists in the same sort of fashion, insofar as he's not dependent on any imaginations or any mental states. He's a part of the external world. Okay, that's basically the conclusion of the argument. And so I've asked the retard repeatedly to give an objection to the argument, give me an objection to any of the premises of the argument. He's not given any objection. He went on a derailed tangent talking about some fantasy stories about face mog and about neighbors yelling like are you okay? Are you schizo? But I'm gonna just ignore the sort of like mental illnesses this patient, of course, has, and just focus morely on the relevant argumentation as I've emphasized on previously. Right, I'm going to ask you again. Right, do you have any objection? And I repeat, do you have any objection to any of the fucking premises? If so, tell me the objection. Is it going to be a skeptical objection in the form of you asking me for evidence or proof for a particular proposition? Or is it going to be an objection in the form of you highlighting the contradiction or showcasing why something is false? If any of your questions moving forward is neither of these two types of responses, and it is not seeking semantical clarity, I'm going to take that to be you losing the debate automatically, in virtue of you not even talking about the argument, and from there on, we can end the recording and not continuously engage in this fucking snooze fest, whereas you rant to yourself for like 15 fucking minutes about how you whisper in a man's ears and how you're stronger and bigger and how Shinner's
Well,
retarded.
that's
You
not what I
know?
was saying. But anyways, as for P4, is it the case that a unicorn has conceptual or semantical conditions?
Yep.
Right. So, I mean, premise 3 means if for anything with semantical or conceptual conditions, it is either identical to a concept or something that isn't a mere concept. And what if I just, say we have unicorn prime, right? And unicorn prime is such that, it's within the conceptual content of unicorn prime that it exists mind
Hmm.
independently, or it is mind independent.
Well, you forgot the parts where we talked about how the premises, the first two premises, is about first order properties. So this is what I'm talking about. Mistrack of Doom again. Mind dependent and mind independent, as I've highlighted on this recording, which you can check back by the way, I've explicitly stated these are second order properties.
Well,
So that
I'm
means these will
attributing
not
it
be
to
relevant. So
I'm
that means
attributing it to the
he's
predicate. I'm
running again.
attributing it to the
He's
predicate of unicorn.
panicking.
So it
He's
is the
panicking.
it
He
is second
realized
order. So I'm
fucked
attributing.
up on the fucking
I'm not.
argumentation, and he's panicking. He's getting blown the fuck out again. Right. So it would not be the
Yeah.
case that mind dependent and mind independence would be the type of thing which is relevant to the set of properties which are used to determine intelligibility, because I've specified in the early parts of this discussion that by intelligibility, I'm specifically talking about the first order properties, and have highlighted the reason as to why mind dependence and mind independent is not the type of thing which is going to be relevant to the set of conditions which is going to be determinant existence, you dumb fucking retard. So you forgot
That's
that
not
part
what I
because
was
you're
talking
so
about.
focused on going in the snooze fest. So do you have any new objection to the fucking argument since the first one failed?
Look,
Yeah,
so
you retard.
the claim was that unicorn prime has it such that it's a second order predicate of the predicate unicorn prime that it is mind independent. So, like, do you accept this or do you reject this?
Yeah, so you just baked in the same property which I just told you would not be relevant to determinant existence. So you just like
Well, I mean,
conceded again, I guess,
it doesn't
automatically.
matter. Wait, are you
It
saying
does
it's
matter because
irrelevant?
you'd not be attacking
Are
the
you
argument
saying
anymore, just trying to
did you
box
say
him.
it's irrelevant
You
for
just said a
determining?
boxing.
Did you say it's
Are we
irrelevant for
gonna attack
determining?
the argument or are gonna keep on
Did you
fighting
say
to
it's
give me some
irrelevant
head
for
right?
determining existence?
I said your point is irrelevant.
Okay,
Are you
so
retarded?
did you say that mentioning mind independence as a second order predicate was irrelevant for its existence?
No, I said your point is irrelevant.
Okay, but did you say anything about mind independence being irrelevant?
The determinant existence and the concepts of the first two premises, yes.
Okay,
We
so
don't use that to determine
so
whether or
you
not something
answered
exists.
yeah.
We're not going to
This
define
guy's a
something. We're
fucking
not going to
retard. You
define
just
something
contradicted
as
yourself,
being
idiot. You
mind
fucking
independent,
dumbass.
because that's going to
You're
be
so fucking
something which is
retarded,
going to commit
bitch.
the category error.
Can
What's
we get
that?
a mute on the butt?
Can you get a view of what? Can I get
You
an
guys
actual
want
objection to
moderation?
the fucking argument?
Sure,
Yeah,
bro.
I want moderation, please.
Don't worry, guys. I got
Thank
you.
you, bro. Thank you so much. You don't understand how grateful I am for that.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Anyways, if you're just saying that mind independence isn't relevant for determining whether or not it exists, I agree. I agree that like what I mentioned earlier was that it has semantic or conceptual content. And you agreed that it does have semantic or conceptual content. And so it's trivially the case that unicorn is either mind dependent or mind independent. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm extrapolating for that or making sort of parity. So we have unicorn prime, which is a highly related but new concept to unicorn, which just bakes into it that it is mind independent or refers to something mind independent. And this is supposed to be a predicate of the predicate unicorn prime. And if this is the case, then it has to be the case that unicorn prime exists mind independently. So that's just sort of reductio to your view, because unicorn prime does not exist because unicorns don't exist. And so I just want you to clarify which part of this objection was false, and then give the argument for why it's false.
Yeah, beautiful. So, just a clarification for the retard. Yeah, so on the recording in the same discussion, you specifically asked me what is going to be the type of thing which we utilize in the first couple of premises to determine existence, and is it going to be the case that it is a predicate or a second order property or a first order property? I clarified that part. Then I told you what specifically would be irrelevant to the first two premises. And irrespective of me clarifying what is meant by the first two premises and what would be irrelevant given the semantics of the phrases and the terminologies in the two premises, you proceeded to go back to the same fucking element which we have already granted to be irrelevant as a means of giving a reductio to the fucking arguments, like the dumb fuck you actually are. And there are plethora of recordings of me specifying that, of course, when you're talking about properties, right, it's going to be the case that the properties which are going to be relevant to the semantical and conceptual content would be the first order ones. That was clarified on this recording, in this conversation. So for it to be appealing to something like mind dependence and mind independence would be something which is irrelevant to the argument. It's not you attacking the arguments anymore, you just shut the box in. Right? So a clarification on the unicorn prime example. It would not be the case that the mind-dependent feature would be the conceptual or the semantical content, which would be referenced in the first two premises, which I believe determines existence. For the main reason being that mind dependence and mind independence, as I've elaborated and explicated on previously, are second order properties. They are meta epistemic statuses, right? And I've elaborated on this. I've told you this. They are second order properties, right? Those things are not the properties you're referencing in the premises when you're talking about conceptual and semantical content, to which you have granted. You have actually granted this part. You've acknowledged this clarification, moved on from this, then proceeded to forget the fucking clarification and gave an objection which is incompatible with the same clarification you fucking granted because you're fucking stupid. Again, that would not be relevant to it. So again, you're not going to be using mind independence into the definition of something because that's not going to be the type of thing which is going to be determining the ontology of something or the metaphysical profile of something with respect to whether or not it is something which exists. Right, I've clarified this. So again, I'm going to ask you, do you have an objection which attacks the goddamn argument, which attacks the sort of relevant analysis which is being utilized in the concept of semantical or conceptual conditions in the argument, or are going to keep on imposing your own standards into the conversation as a means of creating this false pretense or to create this facade that you're
Yo,
actually
my dick
attacking
is
the
hard right
argument
now.
when in fact you're not attacking the argument.
My dick is so hard right now.
Right. I mean, before we get to the debate, I just want to ask. Actually, I'm just going to point it out in chat. So look here.
Is it the lips?
Yeah, I just want to know who made that. Like, who made that video? Just going to give that 10 seconds of time. So apparently, we have a volunteer. Hail Apollo made it.
Wait, what
I look
video?
like a fucking. I
Yo, what
sound like
video?
a
What
fucking
video y'all talking
demon.
about?
Oh, basically, we're talking about like why is Apollo retarded and why he got face mogged by Westbound. That's like the
Oh
conversation
shit.
right now. Yeah.
Oh wait.
So like,
Shit.
see, do you have like an explanation or like a candidate for why he got mogged by Westbound?
Honestly, he's like so ridiculous. I mean, he's Jamaican, and black people are just like naturally just gonna get mugged by non-black people.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
yeah. The
Bro,
mandula is
son, you're
recessed.
black saying that shit, bro. What's
I'm not
wrong with
black,
you,
nigga. I'm not
kid?
black, fuck nigga. I'm a black fuck nigga.
Are
He's
we
not
still
black,
debating,
bro.
or is it going to be like a jerk off session?
Look, I'm getting to the objection. Just calm down,
Then
Jesus.
give the
Bro,
objections,
wait.
little boy.
So nah, but like I have a reason
Shut
though
the
because
fuck
his
up, Apollo.
mandula is a little recessed. That's the reason.
His mandila's recessed. Okay, are there
Yeah.
any other reasons?
Uh, I don't know. Might something else might be the reason. I don't know. I don't know just yet. I'm still looking at him a little bit. I'm still
We have to
analyzing his face.
investigate. Yeah. Okay, that was cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to do there is like with my objection there. I'm not claiming that it being mind dependent is relevant for like determining whether or not it exists or like its actual like ontological committing properties. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is actually that it's a condition for the conditions of unicorn prime. That's what it means for it to be second order predicate, and so that just applies a condition on the conditions. And I agree that it's not relevant for doing the work that we're talking about because the first order conditions to that work. What I'm saying is I'm just stipulating that the first order conditions have some such conditions. I just want you to explain either how it's not entailed that the conditions have these conditions. Okay, like deny like what's being supposed by hypothesis, or I just want you to explain where the original argument went wrong that I gave.
Yeah, so He just basically forgot what the actual argument was about because he was too focused on his pathetic little man-child rhetorical grandstand yet again. Right? I've specified again, and I'll do it one more time, and perhaps even a couple more times, until it finally registers in his thick skull. Okay? In the first two premises, when you're talking about semantical or conceptual conditions, we're specifically talking about the first order semantical or conceptual conditions. This has been clarified on numerous different occasions to the retard. Even when he asked me what I believe determines existence, I told him what I believe determines existence, then specify the type of semantical or conceptual conditions. I'm not saying that you're making the claim that these things are relevant to determining whether or not something is ontologically committed, but I'm saying that given what my view is, and given what is referenced in the premises, it's not relevant to my view either. You're debating someone else. You're not actually attacking my argument. You're not debating me. You're just shadowboxing. You're just attacking some demons or something. You're not attacking the actual argument. You're attacking. You're trying to build up a straw man of the argument to slap it down. You want to attack the actual argument. That's what you're doing right now. Right? The argument is talking about first order semantical or conceptual conditions. Did you acknowledge this? Yes, you acknowledged this. Did not give any objection, did not deny that this was what the argument was about. You acknowledged this clarification early on when I gave the distinction between first order and second order properties and then explicated as to why it would in fact be the case that the second order ones is not going to be the types of conditions which is referenced by any of the premises when determining existence. That was specified, that was clarified, that was made pretty clear and obvious for you to understand, for even a retard like you to understand, and yet still you don't understand for some fucking reason. And that's concerning, firstly. I want to also add on to this, right? That anytime you give an objection, whereas the objection is going to be predicated upon, let's say, a misinterpretation of someone's points, or not attacking the intentions, what the person is actually saying, that should not be a relevant objection anymore. And so my point here is to say your objection is not relevant to what my argument is talking about, because my argument is talking about first order properties. And so it doesn't matter if you're going to be saying it's going to be a predicate or a condition of a condition, that's irrelevant. So long as the condition that's going to be referenced or the property which fixes that condition is going to be either mind independent or mind dependent. If it's one of these two properties, then it's not going to be talking about the argument, it's going to be an irrelevant objection. So, of course, we're not going to define something to be, let's say, a bachelor is going to be an unmarried man, which is mind independent. The mind independent part is going to be irrelevant to the semantics of what a bachelor actually is, given the fact that the way in which I'm cashing out semantical conditions is going to be confined to first order properties. The way in which I'm basically, assessing conceptual conditions in the context of determinate existence is also confined to first order properties, meaning that it necessarily excludes the properties of the above, mind independence and mind dependence. Talking about these properties would not be attacking the argument. So I'm going to give you another try. Attack the argument.
Call him a slur. Call him a slur. Call him a slur. Call him a slur. Call him a
Sorry, can you repeat the past 30 seconds? I was reading chat and watching Hyde, blaze in chat. Thanks.
Holy hide, fuck nigga nigga, so holy hide, fuck nigga nigga. Holy hide, fuck nigga
Yo,
nigga, so.
Apollo.
I'm not repeating anything.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, if that's the case, then I just
Because this is like the third time
so
I'm
like based
saying the
on what
same
I
point, by the way,
based on
so I'm
based
not
on what
sure
I
that I
did
have to
here,
repeat it.
based on what I did here, just didn't attack the argument. So that's fine.
Wait, so you agreed to not attack the argument? I grant that. So
I agreed that you
you
did
did the
not
recording.
attack the art. You're so retarded.
I'm
Look,
retarded?
I think you have like an issue speaking
Are
in
you
this
looking at
thing.
yourself right now in this conversation?
Yes, I'm
Like you
looking at
literally
myself.
did not
I
ask me
am
to prove
looking at myself,
anything.
Apollo. I am looking
I
at
did
myself.
not even have to prove a single claim in this debate. This is the easiest fucking debate I've had, and I've debated fucking retards like TikTok debaters like Hero Sand, for example. This is the
Oh,
easiest fucking
filthy
debate.
aura.
Not a
Both of y'all are
single
done?
claim. We're basically done. Just end the recording. Just end the recording. This is
Hey,
embarrassing
Apollo,
stuff.
nigger, nigger, nigger,
This
Apollo,
guy
nigger,
spent
Hey,
nigger.
over a
Yep.
fucking hour not asking me to prove a single claim.